Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. Hello and good evening to all of you on Facebook land and on YouTube land. It's been great to interact with you guys. Let's see, let's go to the whole crew tonight. Well, let's see. We have four of us. Mikey's taking a little time off. He might join us later. We'll see. My name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And it's great to see you this new year. Let's head
Still
over
haven't
to...
unmuted us.
I know.
You're
It's not your turn yet. I love having the power. It's so great. It's like the worst Zoom call you've ever been on. Jason, you're unmuted. Oh, you mute your mic. Is my camera on? Jason Richards, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I just want to say that by definition, the full crew cannot include not having Mike Hambrecht on. It's very
Yes.
important
Yes.
that I correct you
Yes, I
on
thought
that.
I thought I made it clear. That
I am also a past master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in Washington, D.C.
once an intern, always an intern. All right, let's see. Who else do we have? V1, V Sepulveda. Juan Sepulveda, how are you tonight?
Happy New Year's to all. Juan Sepulveda here from Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in sunny Kissimmee, Florida, and the brother behind the Gentleman's Brotherhood. Good evening, brothers.
Good evening. Last but not least, for now, Robert Johnson.
Hey, Robert Johnson, Waukegan Lodge 78, past master there, current sitting secretary, Space Novum, 1183, and the host of Whence Came You podcast. Good to be with you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And that's really what we're here to talk about. But before we get into that, I do want to give a special shout out to all the patrons who've been supporting the show over the past year. It's been fantastic to keep the show going, upgrade the mics, and do some little fun things like we did with the Christmas time, the TMR exchange. Some of you should be getting some stuff by now. Who knows with the Postal Service this year, but it was a lot of fun to do the online Secret Santa. Mm-hmm. So if you want to continue supporting the show, head on over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable, and you can come in, join our secret Facebook group, and just kind of hang out and chat, see some behind-the-scenes stuff. It's a lot of fun. Love to see you there. This year is 2021. Guys, we made it. after the past year of 2020. We've been doing this. I checked the old records, went through the archives of the lodge, and looked and found that this is our 7th New Year's resolution show. Right, so if we didn't get it right the first 6 times, that maybe we'll get it right this time. But boy, what a year to start with, right? So I thought maybe one thing we could do before we get into some of our own personal and or Masonic resolutions we like to get into is really talk about the year that was, the hero or enemy in Harry Potter, right? The year that shall not be named. But we're going to name it anyway, 2020. Yeah, if there was not a time for New Year's resolutions, it is now, right? Juan, again, we talk about how you and I share an affinity for self-improvement and being better, and you even have a shirt that says, be a better man today, but than I was yesterday. So is this a year to really stick to your resolutions, to actually be serious about them now, or just business as usual?
If your resolutions include self-improvement and include staying on top of your best self, like every other year, yeah, not everybody participates in the New Year resolution train. It's a very arbitrary date to begin anything, but for a lot of people, it's a reminder. It's that fresh start to attempting to becoming better. So I think it's a as good a year as any to put some things in writing and commit to them.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. Right. In general, one of my catchphrases that I find myself going back to a lot is, I think it's maybe a Chinese proverb. If not, sorry for the disrespect, but the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now. Right. To say, there's never a bad time to start. Resolving to do something better. So, yeah, I'm a firm believer of that as well. So this 2021 doesn't make it any better or worse. We've just had more obstacles to overcome last year, both personally, professionally, and Masonically, frankly. So, what a wild ride. How about you guys? Jason, what do you think?
So I've been able to do a little bit of reflection on self-reflection on 2020. And first and foremost, we have to understand that 2021 is just 2020 New Game Plus edition, as we've seen over the past 7 days.
You passed the tutorial level.
Yes. Now everything is twice as hard, and you still have the same baggage that you carried around all last game.
Now with boss battles.
Yes. Survival difficulty. Anyway, for what it's worth, I've been able to do a lot of reflection with John and some other folks on 2020, and I realized that compared to a lot of people, I actually had it very, very good in 2020. My wife and I were blessed to be able to work from home for most of the year. We've kept ourselves safe and healthy. I've been able to spend most of last year with my son, who was home from school while we were working from home. And while that presented its own vocational and time management challenges at times, it still gave me time with my 3 almost 4-year-old son that I would never have or would never have had elsewhere or otherwise. And so that to me is a blessing and has helped me double down on how important my family relationships are to me. And so, carrying that through to 2021, it's given me a really good perspective on just my relationship with my child and how much that means.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing that I think it hasn't been really talked a lot about in the news. You hear a lot, or at least you heard a lot with virtual school, and some of that with the extra burden of trying to balance those who could work from home and have their child at home, about, oh, how hard is it to balance all these things, but yet glass half full, you're like, no, dude, I have the the privilege of having more time with the family, seeing the family, and so that's certainly something we have to keep in mind. How about you, Robert?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jason also, just in some similar respects. I mean, I work for a large medical company, and sorry about the dogs, but I was fortunate enough to stay employed through all of it, and I watched, like in slow motion, I don't know, when you were kids and you're in school or whatever, and you hear about your best friend or your friends, are getting knocked down or can't come to school because they're sick or whatever the case is, you don't internalize it. You don't really think about it as much, perhaps, as anything, because you're still a kid. But as an adult, watching my friends one by one lose their jobs was like painful, because I'm thinking about them. What can I do for them? And then you also get a weird guilt too, like, oh my God, like, you feel bad that, especially considering all of my friends are way smarter than me, there's no reason why they should still, why they should have gotten, cut loose or furloughed or whatever, and I'm still working. And so I had a lot of guilt this year thinking about some of that stuff, but I think it was really important to be able to, connect with my friends and to be there for them. And, I did recommendation letters this year, and I did, one of my friends needed a recommendation letter to go, as part of his application to go get a master's program, like this year was huge in reminding, I think, everybody of this idea of communications and staying connected. So, wrapping these comments up that I have, it's really like I was able to connect on a meaningful and personal level with a lot of my friends through the circumstances that, um, you know, 2020 brought. And then also with home, which is really interesting because I feel like around the world, companies and businesses now saw or see, or were at the very least reminded of what it's like to be with your family. And so maybe they appreciate it more. Maybe they are more sympathetic towards uh, the working folks. And so maybe with larger companies, even more so, because they're doing better, they have more money, more capital, they can afford to be as I don't know, as capitalist and evil as it sounds, they can afford to be more sympathetic and to give the person more time with their families. One of the directives from my company this year was, look, we get it. Your kids are going to be in school from 8 to 3. So maybe just put an out of office on every day from 8 to 3, and you catch up on your emails at nighttime. You catch up on your work at nighttime if you have to. Like, everybody was so, I shouldn't say everybody, but many people were very, very understanding and connecting. And it was like the year of the humanist or something. It was really bizarre. And so moving forward, I really hope that we don't lose sight of it, just because this will go away. This will get better one day. And when it does, I just don't want us to forget about it.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the first awkward moments of the transition in 2020 was the the concept of like working from home, and then right now you're basically letting your work life into your home for a lot of people, including myself, where some people had never seen my kids, and next thing you know, you hear kids yelling or kids just walking in the background, and the first 3 times maybe it got awkward, and then afterwards you're like, oh, say hi to your kid for me, like people that have never met our kids before, but it's part of the workplace now. And so in part of my line of work in organizational like facilitation, boundaries are a critical part of defining work. And so I found that to be an interesting challenge for me personally. Is I've learned over time, I'm an ESTJ, Myers-Briggs type, so I like lists, I like start and end types, I like clear transitions, right? When I changed jobs during a pandemic, it was awkward. I wouldn't say hard for me, but it was awkward because I didn't have that clear transition. I stopped working from home from one job and I started working from home the very next day on a different job. Like I walked down to the same basement and started working. And so
I did that too, John.
Right, that's right. So like we didn't have the big going away party and like the
Nope.
like the roasting and the gifts and the last coffee and just the high fives and stuff on the way out. No one high fives in my office, but at least I wouldn't call it closure. There's a transition, a boundary period that wasn't really crossed. And so whether it's the boundary of transition, of changing jobs, of like when are we going to get back to the workplace, or even boundaries of work's coming into my home and my home is going out into my work life. It's hard for list makers. I mean, there's some people that are like free spirits and can handle that, but that was certainly a challenge and an opportunity to try and work with that to see what, again, making the best of what you got. So any of the resolutions made in January of 2020, I'm pretty safe to say that for those who eventually drop off and do their, they stop going to the gym by February 1st, but those who try to stick with something, a pandemic is nothing to shake a stick at. Do you think that Is it okay? Are people allowed to have a pass because of how the pandemic has taken the snow globe of the world and just kind of given it a big shake and really disrupted everything as we know it? Is it okay? What do you think?
Well, I'll have to say no. Um, I have to say no because if you're looking at it from the point of view that the reason I make a resolution is because I am making a commitment with myself that I'm going to embark on a journey of improvement, right? That should also make room for the adjustments necessary to achieve those goals. And some of those goals may become completely irrelevant. So having the approach that I am making resolutions to become better and be of better influence to the people around me, then no, it's not a pass on not having commitments, but it is you do have license to now say, okay, is it that important that I uh, redo my man cave? Maybe it's not a priority now. Maybe perhaps having a victory garden in in these times, that becomes a priority, and now you switch, but you still need to have that goal ahead of you that reminds you, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I am taking the steps necessary to get there. So when I hear you say, is it okay to give them a pass because this is happening, it almost sounds like hands off for the wheel and now we do whatever. No, you still need to have your hands on the wheel, but perhaps you need to adjust the route and adjust your destination.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you put that because, joking or not, right? The like the COVID-19 pounds is real, right? Let's call it for what it is. You've heard of the freshman 15 when you go to college, and then I've seen it said on social media about the COVID-19 pounds that people are gaining because they're not exercising, they're not going out, they're not going to the gym, but that can become an excuse over time, right? And so if you don't take it seriously, right? Again, to what your shirt says, to what we try to do in this fraternity, right? We take good men and make them better. We're trying to always live that spirit of Kaizen. We've talked about the Agile term Kaizen and how it came from Japanese of continual improvement or incremental improvement, of always just being a little bit better every day. And so I think that's important. Where falling off the wagon is going to happen. It's going to happen anyway on any year. Don't use 2020 as an excuse. Right? It's 2020 had some bad things happen, but every day you wake up, every day you're blessed to open your eyes and start a new day is the best day to plant that tree. Is the best day to keep going and try again.
And your resolutions don't have to be earth-shattering and groundbreaking and unobtainable, right? The whole premise behind Kaizen is incremental, controlled, sustainable improvement. So, don't make it your New Year's resolution to lose 100 pounds by February 1st. No. Like, you can, however, make it your New Year's resolution to start taking a couple steps here and there to make yourself feel better. Like, that's something that is sustainable. It's got a true, like, value proposition that you can look to, and it's easily obtainable, and it's easy to see the benefit from it as well, and that benefit turns into further motivation.
Yeah, one of the earliest books slash techniques I was reading about sticking to new habits is like say you're trying to start to build a habit of running every day, of jogging every day. They said it's okay to actually reward yourself with ice cream after your first couple jogs. Like, that seems extremely counterintuitive, but if the reward of ice cream is what gets you to build the habit, then you're going to have the long-term gains right? For the short term, just now don't eat like 20 pints of it, but at least the psychological impact of having some near term rewards, it does give you those long term gains to build habits. I mean, habit making is a whole other conversation that I know we could have. Um, so Juan, any suggestions on building habits then?
Yes, I would say, especially today in what we're going through, have an overview of what are the aspects of your life that you're not pleased with. Let's start with that. Sometimes we just drag so much baggage with the discontent we may have with our career, the discontent we may have with our living arrangements, or with the company we keep. There's so many aspects of our life that could be contributing to the uh, discomfort that we may be facing. Prioritize some of those things. Start releasing some of that baggage uh, that could be adjusted. And I'll give you an example of one of the things. For example, you know that there's a correlation with how you dress and how you feel. Now, a lot of people now are spending a lot of time at home along with their families, right? Let's say, for example, you're in a young marriage. This couple is young enough where they would have been dressing up to go to the office. Now that has switched completely, and they're wearing the absolute worst stuff all day long. That has an impact on how you feel. It could also have an impact on how the person that you live with sees you. Yeah, at least you have a collar. Look what I'm wearing. Uh,
It's
but
glued on.
yeah, it's a Velcro. So, but that is one simple thing that you can do when it's office times. Maybe wear something that's nicer. If your wife is going to be home, uh, don't wear a shirt that has all the stains and all the holes and some ugly pants. That's one little adjustment that you can make that's going to make you feel better. It perhaps has an impact on how the person you live with looks at you. So that's just a very superficial, just top of mind little adjustment that you could do. Hygiene is another. Are you making it, is it becoming more acceptable for you to skip a shower or two in a row? And what impact does that have in you, right? So these are all things that you can do an overview and take an assessment of what are the areas that I am perhaps getting too relaxed on. What are the aspects of my life that I could improve just a little bit and would pay dividend by making me feel better, or making me act more confidently, or make me be more uh, pleasant to be around other people. And I know a lot of people have been neglecting that sort of stuff. Personal grooming has taken a back seat. Video games have taken a front seat. You know how unappealing it is to a wife to constantly have to struggle to get their little kid, I mean, their husband, off of the video game to pay some attention to her? Like, these are things that are happening to a lot of couples out there. It's taking a toll, and it's a simple adjustment. It's just being aware of what you're doing or not doing, and just making a little bit of adjustments.
So that's a good transition to really start thinking about what are like good resolutions to focus on in 2021. I almost said 2020. No one's ever going to write that wrong date on a check anymore. Um, so for 2021, there's some things that we need to think about. One thing we did include in previous episodes, and so I'm going to set this up so you guys can mull it over a little bit, is we did include like a Masonic resolution. What's a Masonic resolution? Either personal or like a hope for the fraternity that you'd like to include going forward into 2021. And of course, we have lots of opportunities to succeed with virtual meetings and how can we do degree work and that kind of thing in this new environment. So think about that. And then also think about, again, your personal types of resolutions. One thing I like There's a book, I think I have it in the back here, Rise and Grind by Damon John. He's one of the sharks on Shark Tank and a creator of FUBU. And one thing I liked is he's definitely a goal-oriented person. Fascinating guy. You should really listen to some podcast episodes where he talks about his history of how he got to where he is. It's really cool. And because he sets clear goals, he really hustles, he really grinds, but it's because he always looks forward. He always has that vision of what success looks like down the road, not just like, maybe I'll lose weight. No, he's like, I know exactly where I want to be. He has 6-month goals, he has 5-year goals. And reading through that, I found it really fascinating. He does break down goals, because you could say, oh, I want to lose weight. Oh, I want to read more books, right? Okay. Cool. Those are good but not great goals. One thing that that I like is he breaks things into different categories. So he actually includes he has different goals for different aspects of his life. He has a goal for faith, of what his spiritual faith and how he wants to do it. He has a separate goal for family, how he wants to include and grow his family investments. He has 2 separate goals, one for business and one for career. So I could see where one could be business, kind of be the near-term focus at hand, and career could be like long-term projections of where I want to be. And then finally has a last category for health goals. So I think that's worth looking into. I'm sure there are other categories that you could think about. Of course, we're going to include Masonic categories as well, but again, I'm also setting this up for the rest of the panelists here, so that way we can think about it. Do we have more than just, I'm going to read more Masonic books, I'm going to do that? Are there other layers, other categories of resolutions? So I'll jump in first and really talk about some of the ones I've been thinking about. I too have had some blessings and some setbacks with 2020, and so a lot of 2021 is a reset button. Wearing kind of my business hat, thinking about it's business time, right? You have to take the data that you have and do something different with it. We've had 9 months of the pandemic, 10 months of the pandemic, to say, while Robert said earlier, it will get better. Right now, there's a lot of opportunity because everyone is disrupted at the same time, and so I'm of the belief, if you want to try something new, now's the time to do it. Like, whether it's in your business, whether it's changing careers, whether it's working on writing that book you never published, like everyone is everyone has hit the reset button at the same time, and so you can't say, oh well, I'll get around to it one day. Well, it's like, God, show me a sign. Here's your sign. Like, look everywhere. Here's your sign. So let's see. So looking at certain categories, like in faith, really done a lot of soul searching as well in 2020. I want to keep that going, right, to grow my biblical and philosophical research. It's kind of intertwined with my Masonry, but also not, because we do use the Holy Bible as the rule and guide of my faith, and looking at how Freemasonry was influenced through all these other mystery schools and other types of connections. I really love, frankly, nerding out on how these things fit together, what are some similarities, what are some differences, and really continue to grow that, grow my prayer sessions, grow my meditation sessions, be more active in my church. My church has gone all virtual since probably March or April, and
Our church.
Yeah, our church. Thank you, Jason. It's my church now. It's still be active. There are churches across the country that have had to go online, and they're doing a pretty good job overall catering to those spiritual needs albeit in a new format. And so that's certainly something I want to be more active. Also, I'm going to talk to the 10 people maybe who are in this, but if you are in the SRICF, the Masonic Rosicrucian organization, and you don't have a copy of the SRIA study guide, it's awesome. It's really good, because it's a simple, like, easy to read kind of study guide. Asks you some really probing questions that don't have really easy answers. Right? It's not a yes or no type framework, but that's something extra special that I'm going to keep diving into this year. In a family category, like, I've enjoyed staying home with the kids. It's I used to, pre-pandemic, be at work before any of my family got up in the morning, and so I wouldn't see them at all in the morning. I couldn't say good morning. I couldn't help them with breakfast. I couldn't do any of that, and so that in itself has been a blessing, and I want to continue to make sure I appreciate that. But take all the savings that we're doing as well, with not eating out as much, right? All the cost of commuting has gone down. All that, really just put that back into the family, right? Reinvest that into the family, because we're saving it for the rainy day, and that's the perfect time to do it. Business and career, just keep exploring, keep looking for that next thing. And I think that's pretty much all I'll say about that, because there's always a challenge of how do you stay on your toes, how do you stay sharp, as well, because you're going to need to evolve with whatever industry does after COVID. And then health, I'm pretty happy to say that I've actually started something in late September that I've actually happened to stick to, build that habit, and lose some weight and feel better. So I'm going to keep doing that, because I've built that habit and I don't want to drop it. Yeah, I slacked off over the holidays, but I'm back on the horse again. So those are my goals for this year. Masonically, I'll end with Masonic goals. As always, want to write that extra paper. Every year I set myself a goal to write a new Masonic presentation paper. And then also I hope for the fraternity that they embrace more virtual meetings, right? That's my resolution. Like, understand that virtual isn't going away. It is supplementing. It is bringing membership back. Yes, I'll say it. It's bringing people back to Lodge, back to their Scottish Rite Valley, back to whatever, just because it's virtual, and that's a good thing that we should be looking more into. Awesome. So let's go to Robert. How about you for your New Year's resolutions?
Oh, man, it was hard to come up with New Year's resolutions, as you guys are all
say that
talking
every year.
Well, it is, because I think, okay, so for people, and again, nothing against those who don't do this, it's just not your operational thing. But if you're like me, you have a to-do list every day, and the first thing you do is you wake up, you brush your teeth, you fill out your to-do list, and then you make sure you cross off the things you completed yesterday if you forgot about them, and then you basically add 20 more things after you check off 5. And so you're always one-upping yourself, trying to do the next best thing, to do whatever the case is. But, last year I really was trying to make a substantial effort at increasing educational footprint of the WCY podcast, of my Lodge brothers, and everything else. So on top of the really kind of normie goals of losing weight, staying hydrated, like, what can I do to make these things not happen, but make them easier for me, and build some accountability. So this year, I had just a few goals that I think were on my to-do list that I was really thinking about before, the end of the year. I had wrote this list, and it's not like in any particular order, but some of them are really plain. My first one was lose some weight, exercise, and eat better. I already do this, but I wrote down do it better.
Do it more.
Right? Do it. Yeah, that's right. So, I bought an exercise machine this year, and that'll get delivered. And I'm putting it in a place in my home where I have to walk by it every day. So I'll be reminded to get on the stupid thing and do it. In the summertime, I go for like 3.5 to 5 mile walks every day after lunch. And I just walk around my neighborhood. People think I'm like, the kooky weird guy walking around all the time, but the fact is I do that and I feel better. I get some sunshine, all those things. That was something I implemented last year. But what do I do when it's cold outside? I hate the cold. I'm not going to put on a coat. I'm not going outside in the cold. I'm sorry. So I'll exercise more. I only read like 20 books last year, and
Slacker.
maybe compared to some who like Adam Thayer, who read like on some ungodly amount of books. 20 books in 2020. That's how I'll spin it. I completed the goal. So maybe for this year, I want to read 21 books. I want to make sure I finish up this book I got called The Math Book. I'm about halfway through that. The History of Mathematics. I'm really excited to finish that up. I can now read and write Sumerian numerals. So I'm fluent in Sumerian numerals. That was great. I want to keep up
Where
my
did
grades.
you get the clay tablets?
Right from the math book.
I learned Arabic numerals this year. It was great.
You learned Arabic numerals when you were like 1, but okay.
I'm that good. I am that good.
You are that good.
He's a slow learner.
I did this year. I started off really great. I said I wanted to keep my grades up, and then I got an email from my school. I made the dean's list, so yay! So I want to continue to do that throughout the year. Just make sure I'm staying on top of. Thanks, buddy. I want to make sure I'm staying on top of my game, because my wife said to me the other day, she goes, I was freaking out before the semester ended. I had like an 89% in one of the classes, and she's like, "Why are you freaking out? It's 89%. I said, "I'm 39 years old. I'm going back to school because I want to. There's no excuse to not have an A." Like, she's like, "Oh, okay, I get it." So, I worked hard and I pulled that off. So I want to keep my grades up. What did I write down here? I want to stay ahead of the game with a podcast. Many times I record and I master and do everything in like the 3 days before it's due. I release every Sunday at 9:30. I don't feel like spending my Sunday all day, every Sunday, just working on the podcast. I like to knock it out during the week. I need to get back my midnight hours. But in order to do that, I have to get up early. And that's going back to what Juan was talking about, letting ourselves slide. If there's an area I've let slide, I used to say, my kids will tell you, I said, "What's the rule?" And they go, "If it's after 8, it's too late." Right? And they all cry about it. Now what's my rule? If it's 9, it's fine. I'm tired of waking up so late. So I started getting up early again. I want to publish this year. I want to publish probably 3 audio books. And I want to, if there's a Masonic goal, it's definitely going to be working with Ben, and we're going to launch Wilmshurst U. So that's my big Masonic goal this year. I'm really hoping to launch that because, I saw in the chat, somebody said it's been really amazing to see the increase in Masonic education come through digitally. Yes, it has. And I'll say this, man, like we've gotten so much support with that Wilmshurst U thing. People are asking how they can become instructors and to do this and to do that. And they're sending their credentials, and it's like, this is ready to go. And so we can really take advantage of the online meeting space. And then I'm seeing how amazing, Juan's courses are when he does the Gentleman's Brotherhood. And I'm seeing just recently Sean Iyer, who's come up with, early Texan Freemasonry. This is what we can do, is we can raise the bar. And that's what I'm hoping to do this year. Continue raising that bar of Masonic education and launch something fun. So those are my goals this year. We'll see if I complete them. What's the check in? I want to everybody keep me honest. So Yep,
Yeah.
that's this year for me.
We're not busy doing other things. We're staying home, so yes, we can always ping you later and see how that's
right.
going. Okay, Juan. How about you? What does 2021 look like for you? Don't disappoint, because you're the man. You're the guy.
No pressure.
Apply that Freemasonry.
Well, I have been putting a lot of thought and a lot of action behind setting some immediate goals. And I wasn't focused this year on January 1st. Let's get this started. We've been starting since December, trying to have, and I have it here in order. So I'll talk first about the family. We've been very fortunate, of course, last year and this year. Both my wife and I work from home. The kids are doing school virtually as well. So we've had opportunities to spend more time together, which it's very welcome. But it on and off, it has been very unstructured, and we like routines better than just randomness. And we've established some nights of the week where we have a movie night. And we've been doing this since last year. And if we've missed one or two nights, it has been because we replace it by a different day. But that day of the week, it's movie night, and we all come together. We watch all the um, Marvel Universe. We watched all the, not all, but a whole bunch of the DC superhero films, Harry Potter. Well, you name it. We've gone through the whole thing. So part of the goal is for us to have these things: date night on Friday, for example, movie night on Saturday, game night on Sunday, and have that purposeful thing that we're looking forward to, and we have that set that time aside. So I'm very pleased on the progress we've made with that. There is room for improvement when it comes to the consistency, but that is my, like, the main kind of resolution. The other one that we've been working on also since December is our body. We've been focusing on exercising daily, on eating a little bit better, but today we just like threw it out. We ate Culver's and Jesus. It was amazing though. But we've we've been doing exercise. I compete against my wife, so she does some things and we keep track on our phones and our watches. So having that measurement kind of alludes to our uh, in what I talk about in the applied Freemasonry presentation of measuring twice and cutting once. We are measuring how much more exercise we are doing. Uh, I'm with RJ when it comes to the mind. 2020, I should have been reading more and finished more than 25 books, but I didn't. I haven't tallied them, but you might have read more than me, Robert. I don't know. Um, but one thing that I want to do is read with a purpose. I'm easily distracted by, oh, this sounds cool. Oh, this is interesting. Let's read this or let's read the other. But there are some things that I need to uh, read through, very specific things. So I need to be more disciplined with that. Um, when it comes to the soul, I want to have also a more focused search. I've been studying a little bit and doing some research when it comes to prayer. I have a particular take on prayer that doesn't necessarily jive with a lot of people, but that's for people close to me to know. And but I don't want to close off or be too restrictive as to some of the wisdom that may be out there in relation to prayer. So that I'm being more open in my approach to becoming more acquainted with that dialogue. When it comes to business, I'm very excited. The Gentleman's Brotherhood, it's chugging along. It's growing a lot, and it's getting a lot of attention. We've got some very exciting stuff in the pipeline. But 2021 is the year where you'll have a chance to be a full member of the Gentleman's Brotherhood. So that's exciting, and we have some I can't show you anything right now, but we have some stuff in the works that I'm excited about. I've put together a team that's helping me stay consistent and moving forward, and we're all putting the effort to make this a worthwhile thing. So if you don't know what the Gentleman's Brotherhood is, I'll plug it later. And finally, Masonry. I'm in a Masonic funk. I gotta admit, I'm in an absolute Masonic funk.
You do know you're
And
on the Masonic Roundtable right now, right?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is it.
No, I'm in a Masonic. Like
I
it all
think
stems from the approach. I have to be super diplomatic about this. I'm in a Masonic funk, and it's not your fault.
no, but see, I'm glad you brought that up because I know from talking to brothers on and all these myriad of Facebook groups and everything that we're in that people are itching to get back to lodge, but they're because of certain state restrictions or whatever. Like it is not unlikely that there are many other people in a Masonic funk right now, and so I'm glad you brought that to light. So
Yeah.
so carry on.
Yeah. So JF writes funk, and I can hear in his mind, what do you mean by funk?
We've got the funk.
Before
we
he
got
wrote
the
it, I
funk.
said it. Yeah, I'm in a funk. It's like I don't have a goal for what I want to do in my Masonic endeavor. I'm not particularly enthusiastic about setting a goal for my Masonic. I'm just gonna mind my own business in Masonry. I know there's at least one book I want to read, and I want to be purposeful in reading it and assimilating the information and all that. But like I'm always doing a lot of stuff with the Winding Stairs, with the Masonic Roundtable, doing virtual talks and traveling and speaking, all that. In December, January, even November, it's like I was feeling zero of it. And I'm being truthful with you. I hope
Yeah,
that you
no,
appreciate that.
it makes sense.
And it stems from it stems from the response to the pandemic in Masonry. A lot of stuff happened that went completely opposite to what I expected it should have. And it kind of took the wind off of my sails to a certain degree. I'm being super cryptic because I just don't want to be disrespectful to anybody.
Yeah.
But the point is this: it's in a sense, it became a catalyst for me to put more energy into other endeavors that I had been neglecting in the past, and I feel very fortunate for it. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I can't tell you in all honesty, oh yeah, Masonry 2021 is going to be amazing. I'm going to do amazing things. Watch out. Maybe not.
Well, so first, thank you for kind of opening up and going through that description of the funk, because I think it is valuable that we try to be a positive influence for the Masonic community, and yet we're human, right? We have our good days and our bad days. So, and with the restrictions that we have, it's really hard to kind of keep that energy up. So I think again it's valuable to share that experience with everyone else. Before we switch to Jason, just to go back to your cheat days of your health, one thing that surprisingly worked really well for me this past year that I built up the habit I'm going to keep doing is my vice is really good ice cream. Like you get like perfect vanilla bean, rich, creamy, smooth. I can just knock out a pint before you blink, and I know that. And so, one tip I heard on some YouTube channel somewhere was that this older gentleman, that was his vice too, and so that's why it resonated with me. And his solution was he would only eat ice cream during a full moon. So only on the day of a full moon will he get that. So that's doable, right? If you think about it, it's just once, maybe twice a month, because we did have a blue moon last last year. So one day a month, you can have one cheat day to just go nuts with that vice. Yeah, I will sit and I will eat a whole pint, and that's it, and then I'm good until the next full moon. And so it doesn't throw off my health goals, my exercise goals, right? It's okay to have that cheat day, but you stick to it, and it's kind of fun because I'm always into the astronomy thing anyway. So like, yep, it's full moon day, and the kids even know. All right, Daddy, get your ice cream. So that's worked really well. So whatever your vice is, I'm giving you permission to do it only on a full moon. So take that advice.
Nice. That's good.
All right, Jason. Wow us with 2021.
2021. Wow.
Wow.
I got it in before you could.
Yes, you did.
Oh, man. So thinking about just what's really important and being able to try to work toward incremental improvement in different areas of my life. One of the things that I realized looking back on 2020 was I was focused very much on myself. It was a time of stress for everybody, but I was looking at the pandemic, trying to keep family healthy, trying to juggle working from home with a crazy 3-year-old that didn't have daycare accessible, trying to figure out what I was going to do for my next job, because had a little bit of turmoil, and then adjusting to a new job, and how would that fit, how would that work or not. um there was a lot that happened, and I said, I was very lucky in 2020, and I very much was, but I was also very self-focused in 2020. And in 2021, one of my goals is to focus more on others and focus less on worrying and having less anxiety about myself. And so I'm really trying to take some steps to turn that inwardly focused, selfish anxiety into action to take care of others. People that I know, just checking in with friends and family more often to make sure they're doing okay, and even doing more things related to helping other people that I don't know, more things with charity and things of that nature. So that's one of the main things I'm trying to do in 2021 is turn the lens of introspection outwardly, and trying to make the world, or at least my little ecosystem of the world, a better place, my narrow view of the world a better place. I did a really good job this past year in getting myself dropped a good bit of weight, and started on some healthy habits, and I'd like to continue those. With the new job, I ended up dropping the exercise routine because I was worried about taking an hour off in the middle of the workday, because my new coworkers might be like, "Well, where the heck is this guy?" I feel like I've proven myself a little bit in the job, and I'm a little bit more comfortable with taking some time and budgeting some time during the day when I need it to actually take care of my physical health.
Hey, have you
And
done
so that
one of those like exercise while you're on a phone call or on a conference call, or any other multitasking opportunity?
I have not generally. In my last job, I would take phone calls while I was outside walking trails.
Yep.
I don't have as much of an opportunity to do that because, in this job, when I'm on conference calls, I'm often driving the conference call, especially if it's with my direct team. But we'll see. Working again, just working on trying to keep myself healthy and keep myself feeling good and feeling better. I'm looking also to take care of my own spiritual and mental health, and just, open my aperture to learning and exploring new things, and just trying to set time aside to just make sure that I'm not neglecting my own personal spiritual and mental health. That's another thing that I throw that out there every year, and I never master it, and I never will. But being open to new opportunities and new experiences, and trying to figure out who I am as a person and a spiritual being, and what my relationship with God or the Creator should look like to me. And that's something that I don't know if I'll ever figure out, on this side of life. But it's good to at least try to get there, and learn a little bit more each time. And so those are my main non-Masonic related goals. For my Masonic related goal, I have been reappointed Lodge Education Officer for 2021 for Acacia Lodge. And I would like to take a more active role in helping bring Masonic education to the lodge. And luckily, our master, Scott, who's staying on for a second year, is very interested in getting folks together virtually throughout the year. And so that provides me with an opportunity to help bring some really good, really interesting speakers and educational opportunities into my own lodge as part of one of our monthly Zoom happy hour type of brethren getting together social club meetings. So that's something I want to do. I want to be a little bit more active in bringing education to my lodge.
So here's a challenge for you. I want you to build a post-Diluvian Masonic education program this year. After the
A
flood.
post-Diluvian.
Post-Diluvian.
What do you mean?
I don't know. You have a pre-Diluvian one, so I want you to have a post-Diluvian Masonic.
Technically, it's antediluvian, but yes.
Words mean things. Awesome.
A pro-diluvian. Pro-diluvian. How about that?
Wrong vowel, but okay.
Yes.
He's like, you're an idiot.
No, I would never say that to you.
Publicly.
Yes.
On the air. All right.
Actually, I kind of would, probably.
So, let's get into the final question, the favorite time of the show, where we talk to all the hosts and ask them one final question of, this time, what are you looking forward to in 2021? That's the big question this year, right? We've made it through 2020. We've got resolutions. What are we looking forward to? What is the hope or aspiration that we think 2021 can deliver us in any aspect of our life? Home, family, work, career, Masonic. I don't care. I want to hear it. So let's start with Robert. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
In all seriousness, I just want to go back to the movies. I just want to go catch a flick with my kids and sit there and eat a whole tray of stupid pretzel bites with cheese. That's all.
Fair enough.
Of course, I would love to occupy our lodge building and have great intimate conversations with my brothers. That goes without saying. But something that has stuck out forever, and maybe it's just because I have unused gift cards from last Christmas. Maybe that's it. I just can't say. I just there's like an element of community theater or going to a show or going to hear some music, something like that. I don't know. I'm craving a great deal now, and it's been something that all my kids are really feeling the need to go do. So we're waiting to go back to the movies. If there's a reason for Robert Johnson to get the COVID vaccine, it's because we want to go to the movies. That's what I want to do. I'd like to do that. Yeah. So that's that. If you like Masonic education find Whence Came You podcast. We're back this week at 9:30 Sunday night. Hopefully, I got to get my other computer up and rolling. And also, Publicity Lodge, New York City. We're going to be doing a little Zoom presentation on his business time with Brother John Ruark will be there.
Oh yeah.
So I want to let you all know about that. Keep your social media following some of the thread there to see when we post links to join that call. I think it'll be a real fun time, something John and I haven't done before, but will be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Perfect. All right. Well, Happy New Year to you, Robert. Let's head over to Juan Sepulveda. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
I'm looking forward to spending time with family, extended family, because I have a lot of family in Puerto Rico. Travel has been not an option. I have a sister in the South here, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is spending time with family. And I hope that as a country we're able to mend things. I think it, of course we can't go through a whole episode without not mentioning what happened what happened yesterday in the Capitol. It was a damn shame that our country has gone through that. It's a damn shame, but I hope that we're able to get people talking intelligently, compassionately, lovingly, intelligently, in order to make amends when it comes to bringing people together. So that's one of my biggest hopes for 2021. That at least we begin in that road to bringing people together. Whether you're on the left or you're on the right, I'm sure you want to have a better place for your offspring to grow up in. The intention is the same, perhaps the philosophy or the way of the approach may be different, but talking and not, and when I say talking, I'm not talking about like chatting and typing stupid stuff on Facebook. Like really coming together and getting to know and love people. Hopefully we can do that in 2021. And what else? Yeah, so that's what I hope happens. But that's it. I'll do what I can with what I have where I am. And my tools include the Masonic Roundtable, the Winding Stairs, and the Gentleman's Brotherhood. If you want to know more about what I'm putting together to help men in that whole progress of becoming better men, being a better citizen, a better member of society, head over to thegentleman'sbrotherhood.com and be a part of it. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Jason. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
I'm looking forward to a vaccine. And here's why. I'm looking forward to seeing my mom and dad again, because I haven't seen them since 2019. And wow. I am looking forward to going to the grocery store again. And I realize that is a very privileged thing to say, that I'm able to get groceries delivered to my house. But being able to go and do things that give me time to reflect on myself. That's what a grocery store visit does. It gives me time by myself to decompress and work on my own personal mental well-being, and being able to see people I care about are two things that I haven't been able to do. And I'm really looking forward to being able to do those two things.
Well, don't worry about Instacart. Just call up InstaJohn. I'll bring you some groceries. It'll be fine. But no, that, I mean, you really kind of struck me the way you put that. Because again, there are some things that we have that we took for granted, back in March that we really just can't do, today. And so, some sense of normalcy. And I think that's a good segue into kind of what I'm looking forward to in 2021. Everyone wants to get back to the normal, or the new normal, or however you want to call it. And I'm a little bit contrarian to that, because I don't know if I mentioned on the show before. I'm a huge fan in disruptive technology, and that disruptive technology could be something as simple as Impossible Burger, right? Compared to meat, like, it doesn't have to be driverless cars and drones and cell phones and all that. The reason I like that, though, the why behind that is it gets us out of our comfort zone so we can progress forward, right? That how do we as humans interact with new technologies to expand our horizons of where we are. And one thing I'm looking forward to in 2021, and don't take this the wrong way, is not getting back to the way things were by March of 2020. I want us to move forward. I want us to embrace some of the tools and technologies that we've had and the opportunities moving forward. So it's case in point, right? We've talked about how refracted light came up and how all these lodges are doing more and more virtual education series. I want more of that. I want to not default back into the way it used to be, and you might squeeze in a 3-minute Masonic paper before you go off and break bread with the brethren. No, I want more Masonic education. I want it virtual. I want it accessible. I want it recorded so I can watch it later, right? I want the new normal to be there with purpose. And that's what I'm looking forward to in 2021, right? Taking the best of what's changed and creating a new reality, creating a new environment where we can all succeed going forward. It's I was just reading an article this afternoon that basically that the at-home workout era is now like in full swing. And that's part of one of the things that I started was working out from home, and I've stuck to it, and I'm glad that is a thing now, where people felt like they had to go leave and go to a gym before, and now they can do it at home and still get some results. And so I want the new normal to be the better than the normal that was in March. So yes, I want the vaccine. Yes, I want us to break bread together. And I want us to not forget the advances we've had, not forget the technology and the opportunities we've had, in the past 10 months as we create a better future for 2021. So with that, Robert?
I was just going to say, fun fact, you talked about those home gyms. Dumbbells are sold out everywhere.
They're also
Everywhere.
expensive.
That's right. Market demand. So if you find them at a Goodwill, if you find them and you're out and you're a bro who's looking for those, buy them now. There's your buy tip.
And then flip them
Put it
on
all
eBay.
in dumbbells.
Yes.
Put it all in dumbbells.
I've got a bear market for potatoes. Yes. No. Thank you, Robert. That's a great point. That's just the world we live in now. So there we are. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll keep searching for more light. Have a good night.